Isaac Butterfield really sucks. And here's why. Alright, so recently Isaac Butterfield made a video talking about Greta Thunberg, or whatever her last name is, no one knows. It's cleverly titled, The Problem with Greta Thunberg. Ooh. So in this video we're just going to discuss this one video, nothing else, because Isaac Butterfield is actually a really great YouTuber and you should probably subscribe to him, link below. Anyways, onto the video.
But all anyone's talking about at the moment is a little girl, 16 years old, Greta Thunberg from Sweden. Greta is a young, emotional girl. She's got tears in her eyes here. But I wholeheartedly believe that she, unfortunately, is a puppet of her parents and the people around her.
God, oh my god. Dude, there is no evidence at all that she has been manipulated. What do you want about, Isaac? I swear to God. And even if there is proof, show me it. Oh, what, they all wore fascist t-shirts? So fucking what? Like, I swear to God, that doesn't mean anything when you're saying that she's being manipulated. Mate, are you a boomer? Because I swear to God, you're thinking like one.
She has been fed this information from a young age, and now this is what she is spewing out forth into the world because it's what her parents want her to think.
Alright, let's just consider that she is being manipulated, alright? If the facts that her parents are implanting into her brain is scary, maybe there's a reason why they're scary. Oh, I think I know why. It's because they're true. 928 peer-reviewed articles about climate change that were done by actual scientists have revealed that climate change is man-made, an actual threat to our society, and it's really fucking alarming. So yeah, it's scary, but it's also true.
Regardless of your position on climate change, I think we need to really consider this. Rather than storming the streets, rather than shutting down traffic, rather than running out of school or work to have the day off, storm a university, study, and change the world. Become the change that you want to see in the world. Work out these problems, invent these technologies.
I get where you're coming from, but here's the thing. How can we study in university to advance this technology in order for us to survive if we're gonna die by the time we come out of university? By the time all these kids leave uni who are passionate about climate change and can actually do something about it, they're just gonna look at their fucking iPad and be like, oh, would you look at that? Antarctica's gone. Oh, well, the world's ended anyway, so who cares at this point?
Don't just scream into the wind. It doesn't achieve anything.
Isaac, okay, yeah, he does have a boomer mindset because, mate, protests actually do succeed. The civil rights movement, the suffrage protests, the Save Our Sons protests about the Vietnam War. All of those protests have succeeded in getting our politicians to know that these problems are alarming and we should stop them at this very moment. Speaking about politicians, the reason why all these protests happen about climate change is so that way politicians know that these problems are true. Just like I mentioned, all of those movements that have been done in the past have actually convinced politicians to do something about it. And while the results are somewhat good and bad to some extent, they've all proven the point that protests can actually advance the message that needs to be come across to these problems, so that way politicians treat it like the problems that they are. And Isaac, have you not heard the statement, any publicity is good publicity? Because in this case, it is so true. Whether someone thinks that all these protests are pointless or not, doesn't matter. It's still getting across the message that climate change is scary and needs to be addressed at this very moment. And I think the biggest reason why these protests occur is because it gets young people to actually do something about something they're passionate about. So most young people are passionate about climate change. So these protests are helping them in order to make them feel like they're actually doing something. And in actuality, they actually are doing something. They're trying to get the message across, like I just mentioned. I'm gonna try and make sure I don't sound like a broken record, but Yeah, you get the point.
This is all about popularity now. It is popular to be out there and getting photos in the climate march. It gets you likes on Instagram. That's all it is. It's just like the women's movement march last year. Now no one's talking about that. People right now are talking about how amazing Greta is. They're sharing a post on social media. It's changed their lives, but how many people did that? And then the very next day they drove their car to work.
Well, Teslas are pretty expensive, you know. However, he does make a good point about this, and honestly, this whole video is littered with good points, don't get me wrong. I'm just expressing the bad points that he makes in this video, so don't think that this video is all bad and shit. It's not. It's pretty alright, I guess. It's just, I have a few gripes with it.
I don't think we will encounter a solution to climate change anytime soon, particularly when we refuse to acknowledge the big polluters in the world, like India and China. Since the year 2000, they've almost doubled their CO2 emissions. And we're not even talking about that? Why?
True, we aren't talking about China and India and that, but here's the thing. A 2017 table shows that China is first in releasing carbon emissions, but India is third. You wanna know who's second? America. And if we're going by per capita standards, China and India ain't got nothing on America. And Australia as well. So these protests that are commonly happening in Australia and America are reasonable in a per capita standard. And an actual standard, then yeah, it's understandable for Donald Trump to be treated like absolute shit about climate change because he's second.
Look at the people who are below the poverty line. They need to be brought up. They need to be looked after. How can someone who is in a poverty-stricken environment or country give a shit about the environment until they can happily feed themselves, clothe themselves, or find shelter? Give them that power, and then perhaps they'll start to do things to change the globe as a whole.
Him saying it's about the environment, I can understand why he would think that, but as of right now, most of these protests aren't talking about the environment anymore. They're talking about lives here, the lives you are talking about that are suffering right now. They're gonna suffer even more if climate change isn't tackled. So that's basically the end of the video. Now, with all those gripes, I think the biggest one is that he doesn't show any organizations that you can donate to if you do care about the climate. So since he's not gonna do it, I'm gonna do it myself. In the description below, I have linked a bunch of organizations that you can donate to, such as Greenpeace, WWF, the Australian Marine Conservation Society, and the Australian Conservation Foundation. Those 4 organizations are doing something about climate change. So if you can donate to them, it can actually advance the technology in order for politicians to use it, so that way climate change can be fucked off for however long. I don't know, like 2 years, whatever. Another thing you can do is not only donate, but also share and read news organizations that are independent that actually spread the word about climate change, such as Independent Australia, the Australian Institute, and The Guardian. Those 3 not only share statistics and facts about the climate, but they also show what we and the whole world are doing in order to act on climate change and what you can do about it as well. And if you are super duper passionate about it, but you don't want to protest, go up to your parents and tell them to leave the big 4 banks, which are NAB, ANZ, Westpac, and CommBank. Those 4 banks are actually sponsoring fossil fuel companies that are pumping carbon dioxide into the air and making climate change become more of a problem than it actually is. And what you can do about it is to tell your parents to leave these banks and to join banks such as Bendigo Bank, CUA, Bank Australia, and Me Bank. Anyway, so those are all my grievances out the way. So now let's get into the summary. Isaac, keep doing what you're doing, because honestly, you are not a bad YouTuber. As I mentioned previously, Isaac Butterfield is not a bad YouTuber in the slightest, which is why I linked him in the description below. It's just that this video was kind of meh, honestly. And if you really want to watch why I hate the video, or why I just ignored most of the points in there, which were actually good points by the way, I'll just link that below as well. So that's basically the end of the video, but I'm going to be talking a little bit more about what Greatest Channel on Earth is, since this was an old series that I made. So if you just came to see me shit on Isaac Butterfield, then you can leave now. But to my long-time viewers or new viewers who want to subscribe, here's what this show is all about. Called it a show, it's not a show, Jesus Christ. So what Greatest Channel on Earth is a video series that I did in 2015 and 16, where I just shat on a bunch of big YouTubers for no apparent reason, with an absolute dog shit text-to-speech voice that I don't even know why I use that seriously. I made these videos seriously, by the way. So I've decided to, you know what, just bring it back, cause I don't know, I was bored. And since it was an old series that wouldn't really make sense if I just uploaded this video, I re-uploaded all the old videos, or not all, most of them, because there was some that were either shit, like absolutely dog shit, or just bring back drama that I just don't want to talk about because it was just unnecessary. And yeah, that's as far as I'm going to talk about that drama. All of the videos are unlisted, by the way, and they will be viewable in a playlist style link in the description. So that's basically all I wanted to say. Hopefully you guys will enjoy me talking shit about these YouTubers that I feel unnecessary to do. And yeah, see you later. Okay, bye.